Hey, this is Overpass Insights. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about 3 red flags to look for when a client first contacts you. All right, so today I'm coming to you from Abingdon, which is a town about a half an hour away from the office, but I had to take my car in because I needed a second spare key made, and it was either take the bus back, which would take like an hour, or just hang around. So I decided I'd just hang around the park, which is actually kind of nice. It's nice to work for yourself where you can do this kind of stuff, right? But so today I want to talk a bit about first impressions. So we all know that first impressions are important. We've been told this our entire lives. We've been told that the first few seconds of meeting somebody are when they first set their opinions of you. That's why we wash our faces when we're growing up. That's why we dress appropriately for meetings, that kind of stuff. In fact, I think about it a lot with apps. Like one of the conversations I have a lot with my developers, or arguments really, is the first impression somebody has when they open up an app. Like for me, I think the worst thing a user can see when they download and open an app is a registration form. I mean, a couple of text boxes and a button, right? They should see something else, whether it's onboarding or some sort of functionality, something to make the app useful so they can decide whether or not to register. And you know, it's just a personal choice thing, right? Even with Overpass, when a client contacts us, I think about what's the first impression we want to give them? How do I want the website to look? How do I want the phone to be answered? And sometimes it's not the best experience, but we're working on it and always thinking that way through. But today I want to talk about the other side, the impressions that we get when a client contacts us before we ever even contact them back. So if you've done client work for any amount of time, you know how selective you need to be. If you get the wrong client on board, it could be miserable for you, it could be miserable for them, you're just not a good fit. But if you get the right client on board, everything gels. It's a win-win all around. So you have to be very selective about who you hire. Now, there's 3 things I notice when somebody contacts us that I consider red flags. Now, they're not blockages, and they seem very, very superficial, sort of like wearing a suit to a meeting. It's not necessary, it's kind of superficial, but it's a thing you pick up on, and I want to share those with you. Now, these aren't blockages. I mean, this doesn't mean I won't contact them necessarily, but it's just something that I keep in mind. So I would like you guys to share the things that you look after if you do client work and they contact you. But the first one is the Gmail address. Now, I know this may seem very, very snobby, but I have nothing against Gmail addresses. In fact, I have a Gmail address. But if somebody contacts us on behalf of a company and their email address ends in Gmail or Hotmail, we had a Hotmail one just the other day, it's just one of those things that I notice. Now, a lot of the times, they just don't want to give you their normal address. They have the special address that they use for spam. So I always keep that in the back of my mind. This could actually be something, but it is something I notice, something I keep in contact. It just makes it difficult to do a little bit of research before we make that initial phone call. The second red flag is the overuse of the word simple, or making their project seem insignificant. To give you an example, here's like a request we might get. Hey, I have this simple project where we have this simple database which needs this simple thing done, and we just wonder if you can knock something together. Knock something together is another one of those words that I just don't like. And there's a few reasons why I don't like these, not just because it seems like a low-value project, which is part of it, but not so important. I don't mind working on low-value projects if they're good, but it's the lack of significant. No professional wants to work on an insignificant project, something that's just slapped together like, oh yeah, because we're not commodities, we're professional software developers. The people I hire are professional software developers. If our client doesn't have any enthusiasm about it, how are our developers going to have any enthusiasm about it? But again, this is just the first email that comes through. So sometimes we call them up and they are enthusiastic about it, or it is something that's important. But it's something that I keep in mind when we get that first email through. It's the first impression. And the third red flag, and this one is so obvious, is when they just say, hey, I've got this app idea, I don't have a budget, I don't have any money, but can you help me? Can we share it 50-50? And we've talked about this a lot on this channel. There's something strange about app developers where they think we can just share something 50-50. And I don't necessarily mind getting asked, but we've never accepted anything like that. My view on this is that somebody has to invest in getting this app developed. And I don't think it should be me, right? Like, we still have to pay developers, still have to pay with our time, we still have to pay ourselves. And if they don't believe enough in their idea in order to do some investment into it, then I don't know why we, who have not heard the idea yet, should be willing to invest in it. But that's just me. So those are the three things that I noticed first. And I know it may make me seem snobby and superficial, but it's just the first impression. Sometimes we'll get in contact with a person and they're the ideal client, but they have a little bit going against them when we first contact them. The same way we would if we acted unprofessional in their first contact with us. It's just the way things are, and it's the kind of thing we always try to improve. We're always looking for the ideal client situation, the same way you are probably if you do work with clients. If you ever work with bad clients, you could be put off client work forever because you've never had any good clients. But we've had quite a few good clients. We've had a few that we probably shouldn't have taken on because of those bad feelings early on, but it's just a part of it. And I think about it a lot like that first interaction, like if you were going on a blind date or you were meeting somebody for the first time and you dressed up and they wore tank top and flip-flops, right? You might feel like there was an imbalance in power. It's not a win-win. They're seeing you in a certain way and you're not seeing them in the same way, and that's just the way things are. So the reason I'm putting this video out there is for those of you guys who are software developers who are getting into client work, or you do client work. I want to ask you, what kind of things do you look for? Do you have any red flags? Or, I mean, ultimately, we contact everyone back. We try to get back in touch with everyone, but we have to be selective about who we work with, obviously. But what kind of things do you look for? And if you are somebody who's looking for work, it might be something, or you're looking to get a developer to work on your project, that might be something to keep in mind too. When you're contacting them, you want to find the best person for you. And also, these are the kind of things that software developers look for, or at least the kind of thing that I look for. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I obviously am. Anyway, that is it for today. We'll talk again next time. Oh, wait. I always forget this part. Now, if you made it to the end of the video, please go ahead and hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and join the discussion. We talk about app development, we talk about working for yourself, we talk about getting clients, and it'd be really great to have you along with us. Anyway, talk to you next time.